Dialogue Session 3. Teamwork is all it takes with Vivek Kele and Nityam Khosla. I would request you all to put in your question and answer questions in the Q&A box, which we shall ask the panelists once the event, a formal event is over. Thanking everyone for that. Right. So good afternoon, Vivek and Nityam. Thank you for joining us on Amtoi Dialogues.
Good afternoon. Good afternoon.
Allow me to give a brief introduction of your company, which is already so well known. Team Global Logistics is headquartered in India, an integrated logistics service provider based in India, Bangladesh, and East Africa, with over 1,000 employees and 40 plus offices. The journey of two management graduates, Nityam and Vivek as directors, started in 2005 with the initial focus on LCL consolidation. Later, they forayed into the inbound and outbound logistics for ocean and air freight with their own IATA license, CFS, transportation, and coastal shipping. In the past few years, the company has transformed through organic and inorganic growth and entered into joint ventures in East Africa and Bangladesh. Diversifying the service portfolios, Team Global today is established one of the first green and IGBC certified CFS of India, ICTPL at Navasheva in Mumbai. It later acquired the Chandra CFS from Gateway District Parks and Batco CFS in Hyderabad. Team World Logistics is the latest addition to its business portfolio. The entrepreneurs also are executing their philanthropic vision through their trust, Saksham Sarthi. I welcome Vivek and Nityam once again.
Thank you.
Let's jump straight into it. So, both of you, I remember as very successful professionals before you started out in 2005. And what made you bite the entrepreneurial bug? So I'll go with you, Nityam, first. What made you?
Firstly, a very good evening to you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Amtoi, for this opportunity, and thanks, Success, and thanks, Mr. Santanu, for the same. Some things just happen. If you really ask me, I think when both of us, we were working and in our ex-company, we were very comfortable. And actually, if you really ask, there was no reason we should think that there was no reason actually, to quit a job and, to go. But, the only thing what came to our mind was a strong desire to establish a good organization of our own, which was there. And I'll tell you, hope was the only strategy at that point of time. I know in a lot of business schools, they talk that hope is not a strategy. But, we thought, when your thoughts and actions are guided by hope, I think it is one of the best strategies. And I think that is something which was there. So from my side, I would say, there was no great strategy in place and no great plan, but a strong desire to, get and to create something which is, which is good, create something which is, which gels with our, thinking, which gels very well with which blends, and organization of the people. So where, people also give a business environment to people where, people nurture, they grow, and they enjoy themselves. So I think that is a little bit from my side. Vivek, you would like to add to that?
Yeah, I'd just like to add that where did that hope come from? I think the hope came from, as successful professionals, we saw that there's an opportunity in the marketplace for more professional players to come in. And that's what got us the hope, and that worked, and that prompted us to set up our own shop, and we consistently use the same approach, a professional approach, as firstly as working professionals, and subsequently in our own business, and and that has helped us to the state that we are here.
Fantastic. So, Vivek, my next question is to you. In 17 years, you have done what normally takes a generation to do. The growth has been meteoric. What do you think is the secret of your success? And do you think that luck played a role as well, a big role? Luck always plays a role, but do you think it played a big role?
See, what happens is when you are consistent in your approach, I think the forces of the nature also join. And that's where you derive, the success multiplies and it compounds. So yes, I mean, luck played an important role. But I think what I would say is just continuing on the same thought process that I mentioned. So there was a need of a professional player and more professional players within not that our peers are not professional. And because the rate at which the market has been growing or was growing and continues to grow. So if you and both of us, have we come with different skill sets and we complement each other. One, two is that we have a professional background in terms of management qualification. So a postgraduate management. So we have been using, a lot of those management theories, approaches and practicing it in day-to-day basis in our business. So that, and the young blood also plays an important role. Although when we started the business we were not so young, but still young enough to take some bold decisions, be aggressive, and we don't come from a family background. So I think we didn't carry any biases in terms of how the business needs to be done. So the biases that worked our way was a professional bias. So we approach the business in a very professional way, and that professional bias helped us to grow.
Yeah, that probably. Nityam, did you ever think you will reach this level of success?
No, like Vivek, quoted partly that quote from Alchemist. When you desire something, all the forces of the nature conspire to you to achieve something. I think it is basically that, and more importantly, I'll tell you the biggest discovery of this generation is you can alter your life by changing your attitude. And I think that is something. An attitude is what basically you are what you do, and first you get into the right habits. I'm talking about discipline and your culture of discipline that you have. And first you make your habits, then habits make you. It is a basic thing. And more importantly, I think what is important is your competition will try to copy your systems, or they will copy your processes. But culture, I think it is something which is very difficult for anybody to copy. And I think that is something what we very consciously tried and created within the organization. I think that was one of the strong things which goes with Team Global is its culture. And culture is like it is all across the organization, if you really see. Secondly, also we always thought of giving a little more in terms of specialization to the customers. And I think that was some desire to give more than what is perceived by the customer. And I think that continues. It's a continuous thing. And the most important factor here is creating leadership at strategic levels. I think it is very important. Your biggest differentiator, which could be between a good and a great organization, is your ability to create leaderships at the strategic levels. And I think that's something we've been trying to do very consciously, and we've been trying to work on it. And that includes developing our own selves as well, and which we keep doing on continuous basis. Super. I think these are few factors which we would attribute
Super.
Our success.
So my next question actually is add on to what you guys said. How do you see the secret of a success is being together? How do you both complement each other? And I'm sure there have been differences of opinion when two people are there on how to move forward. So how do you sort it out and ensure that there is a cohesiveness between the two of them and a joint decision is taken? So Nityam, you take this question and then we'll go on.
I think like Vivek said, we both have totally different personalities, if you really ask, and skill sets. And I think that is the biggest thing, value which brings to the organization. And more importantly, we are from very humble culture, family background, which is there. And I think that is one of the factors which keeps our head on the shoulders all the time. I'll tell you, if you really ask relationships, I see relationships are of different nature, different types of relationships. There is a relationship of convenience when like with your neighbor, you have to, it's a relationship of convenience. Then there's a relationship of purpose when you have an objective, and for certain purpose you come together and you get into a relationship. And there are relationships of tolerance when you tolerate each other because you have to be together, But this relationship, I would say, is a relationship, the base is mutual respect and trust. And when you have that, you also get the wisdom to understand that, partnership doesn't mean 50-50 all the time. It means, sometimes you have to play a role of 50-50, sometimes 20-80, sometimes 80-20. And I think that is something more important. It is not that we don't have difference of opinion, because, I think that is healthy and it is very important to have difference, because if you're a yes man, then it will not basically challenge you. And I think but we discuss it out. More importantly, once a decision is taken, we back it fully. I think that is something what we follow. And it has never happened that whether it was your decision or my decision, if things go wrong. So I think we are totally responsible, equally responsible once the decision is taken. So I think this is the way, I look at this relationship, and my base for this relationship is trust and mutual respect.
Vivek, would you like to add? Thanks.
Yeah, I think most of it is covered by Nityam. I think it starts with the mutual trust, and no relationship or partnership can go long term without that basic premise of trust. And I think is in addition to that, what we would say is that there's a lot of rationality in our approach and thinking. So whenever there are differences of opinion, to specifically answer your questions, I think both of us come out with our own logic, and the stronger logic with a better rational prevails. And as Nityam already mentioned that once we decided that whatever logic is stronger and whatever rational is stronger, we go by that, and then we stick to that through thick and thin. It's as simple as that. And I think it just happened naturally. This entire process of decision making and process of partnership, just over the years, I think it was natural. We didn't really have to work towards it. And I think since it is natural, I think it is working on a long-term basis.
So Vivek, my next question is to you. You're the leading or probably the number one LCL consolidator in India. And then you branched out into a completely unrelated business like a CFS when people were exiting the business a few years ago. In fact, most of us thought you were making a mistake, both of you all were, but you all proved the skeptics wrong. So what was the rationale behind going into a dying business and turning it around?
Once again, it is the same thought process that prompted us to start our own business in 2005 to begin with. So the rationale was, yes, there was some capacity generation, excess capacity in the market. But at the same time, most of the CFS were based, or rather are still continue to work on a landlord model. And whereas the marketplace was changing, the DPD was coming in, and there was a need of a professional player who were offering CFS services basis professional approach using technology with the latest management processes, and also at the same time value addition. Our business model is not a normal landlord model which traditionally is existing. We are adding value. We are one of the first ones to have a cold room in our CFS. We are the first, and as you rightly mentioned in opening door, we're the first one to have a green CFS. We are one of the first ones to have racking in our warehouse. We are the first ones to. We are the only CFS which has got hazardous area which is 200 meters from the user building, and which is meeting the custom norms. So a lot of these factors which we were conceptually brought in at the time of creation of the facility has helped us to make the project successful. Nityam, you want to add anything which I have probably missed?
I want to say that it was good we didn't have experience, so we could do something different.
Yeah.
So, but to be very honest, this question has crossed my mind many times, and many people have asked also. And I'll tell you, it was more of an emotional call than a rational call at that point of time, because it was CFS was something actually we wanted to always have. And what happened was we went ahead with the decision. I'll tell you the truth. And we committed for the land, and already, because it was a big process of finding a land consolidated parcel of 34 acres, which is very difficult to find in Nhava Sheva with the way kind of land laws and all what is prevailing. Once we committed on that, the full paradigm, DPD came in, people were exiting, capacity was 50%, but we could not go back. We were 50% on when commitment, and commitment is something which has been always very important to us, and not only commercially, even personally, which is there. And we really didn't have choice at that point of time but to move on with the decision and get going. But once we decided, then we said it was very difficult to find a sweet spot. You need to have a differentiator today, and value has to be given in a different way to your customers, which was there. So we did whatever possible that we could get our sweet spot in terms of giving our differentiator to the customer, and we went ahead with the decision. And I'll tell you, luck has played a big factor. it's God's grace, and that we could put forward, we could put together a good team, all put together, for this facility. So I think it's thanks to the Almighty, I would say that we have been, successful with this bold decision, which appears to be very bold, but the fact remains there was no choice.
I wish everyone had your luck. Okay, my next question is to you, Nityam. You mentioned that you have gone into e-commerce, which is really a booming business per se, volume-wise, maybe not, and revenue-wise, but bottom line, where the bottom line is concerned, most companies are in losses in this business as yet because of the sheer scale and magnitude required. So what can you tell us a little bit of what your company is doing in this space, which is a relatively new area of expertise?
See, we have not gone in a great way into e-commerce as yet, to be very honest. And we are just trying to, put things together in terms of, firstly, of course, you need to have the right technology today. I think if you really see, the top companies in the world, what were, around 20 years back and what it is today, all tech companies are the top companies which are there, whichever company you look at, your Fortune company, you pull up. So I think it's important. This business is still in a growth stage. And it's in India, in fact, it is in a nascent stage, and it's growing pretty fast. So I think one thing is you have to get your technology right. Then, of course, you have to get your people and processes right. And we certainly have plans which are there and plans, but we are a conventional businessman approach of bottom line. Today the modern business approach is of the top line, where people don't really care about the profits. Yeah, and they're getting their fundings and all, which is there. And but we still, we try to treat investors' money with a lot of care. If you ask me, if we take something, it will be taken with more care, will be taken of their money than our own money. And I think that is the value we have. So I think it's it's something it's work in progress, to be very honest. But I think future is the business is growing very fast, and if it could be done in the right way and by putting the right strings, by putting right things together, I think the success could be a different success model. I think that is something we wish to, but still early days, and I think we have a way. Maybe we still have some time to go, full-fledged into it.
I'm sure it will see success like the rest of it. Vivek, anything you want to add on to this?
No, not really. It's basically, getting the technology piece and people and processes in place is the stage that we are in at the moment. So yeah, you'll hear more about it in time to come.
I'm sure we will. Okay, my next question is actually exclusively for Nityam. Nityam, I know that you go every year or every few years to Harvard to hone your skills. And it's very odd, when a person is this successful, and don't get me wrong, at this age of life, to go and seek knowledge again and spend a fortune in doing that. So, and I had a discussion with you privately on this, and you said that you really enjoy it and you really look forward to it. So tell me, what possesses you to do this? What is the rationale?
See, firstly, I'm not that old. No, I'll tell you, to be very honest, Harvard basically was in my bucket list. And when I was studying, of course, I always wanted to do, my management from a good institute. In fact, IIMS was the one which I thought, I should have tried and I wanted to do. But Harvard was a far-fetched dream at that point of time also, which was there, but it was just a dream. But then I managed to do my MBA from Bombay University. I did also my MCom from Bombay University. So education is something which I continued. And I'll tell you, it comes with like my father always told me, it's a lot of value was given to education in my family. And my father always told me that education is one investment which will give you dividend for your lifetime. And he said, people probably, you will always have a risk of people taking away your money or wealth. But education is something which nobody can take away from you.
Wow.
And I think that is something. And if you have education, you can convert it into a lot of wealth if you really move in the right way. And I think that value system I carried with myself, and I think that is something which has prompted me. And in fact, here and there also, I kept doing a little bit of other stuff also in between, which is there. I also did something from ISB, and I also did something from Virginia University. So I have continued to do that, and And just for information, I'm done with Harvard. I just graduated last month. And
Congratulations.
yeah.
So are you Dr. Nityam Khosla now, or what is it?
No, I'm Nityam Khosla only. But I graduated. I'm a lifetime alumni of Harvard.
Okay.
So
Great.
that is something I completed. It took me 5 years to do that, but I just
How do you find
completed.
the time with all your businesses and everything? How do you find the time?
I have a strong colleague like Vivek,
Yeah.
so I need not worry about the time.
I'm coming to
And of course, the team.
Basically, I have outsourced the learning to him, and he's outsourced his work to me. So
Okay.
that's how the partnership is working. Now
Perfect partnership. Perfect. And Vivek, you are a long distance runner, marathon runner. You started you told me very late in life running, and it changed your life, your perspective to work and personal life, etc. So tell us more about that. Most of the successful CEOs of the world, etc., are into running. Does that help that much in your business and your life? Please enlighten us.
So there are a couple of points to that. Firstly, it's good for your health. It keeps you, it helps you to stay sharp, creative, and focused and balanced. I think that's what long distance running bring change. That's the, I think, biggest change I have seen in my personality. It just remain more sharp, and you remain more focused. Then I think what it also adds to you is that you get used to setting big goals for yourself, at a personal level, and then of course that translates at the organizational level also. So then that you don't differ from taking big goals or taking big decisions. Then it also brings in consistency in your approach to things. Like marathon running requires that at least 4 times a week you get up at 5 o'clock in the morning and you're there out on the field and you're training yourself. The same ethos then you tend to carry at your workplace in terms of being consistent, being being on time, attending to things on time, and having patience. I think marathon running is also brings a lot of patience into you. So I think all this is it is not helped me at a personal level also, but at organizational level also. Some of these personality traits that you inculcate as a long distance runner helps you both to stay fit, to be a better person, and also at the organizational level helps you to grow as a profession.
I think shortly, I think Team Global will sponsor the annual Mumbai Marathon. It's only a matter of time.
We'd love to.
Okay, my last question. We are running out of time, so this is the last question to both of you. What would be your advice to professionals in our industry who wish to eventually become entrepreneurs? Vivek, you go first, Vivek, please, and followed with Nityam. So,
yeah. So I think there is a believing in yourself. I think that is the most important thing. What happens is that that conviction that you can do something certainly, because you can be a good professional because you are doing something right, and that is the reason you are a successful professional. But how do you become a good entrepreneur? So a good professional with a ability to take financial risk, I think, is a combination of a professional and is a difference between professional and entrepreneur. I think if there's a conviction that what you're doing is right and your ideas are right, and there is a acceptance for that in the market, I think money will come to you. You have seen enough and more examples, especially in today's IT enabled economy. There are too much of money chasing too few ideas. So the ideas what I'm talking about is nothing but conviction. And if you're convinced that your approach to business, your approach to doing things is right, you'll get the money, you will get sponsors, you will get investors, and as a professional, it's not too difficult to be to change from or metamorphose from a successful professional to a successful entrepreneur. Khosla, over to you.
A few months back, I had just come across a video, which was there on a WhatsApp, of Mukesh Ambani, and few things I found it very relevant. Was firstly, he said an entrepreneur doesn't have any roles and responsibilities. I think you have to figure out, what you have to do. You have to find it yourself. Secondly, it mentioned that, you have to really solve a problem. You have to find out, identifying a problem is more important than, finding a solution. The quality of the problem and then the quality of a solution will really determine your success, which is there. And then the other thing, what he stated that whatever you solve, that has to create a societal value, which is there. And money should not, like Vivek also said, money should not be your objective. It's a byproduct. You have to go basically for, solving. And most important factor here is that you cannot do without great teams. I think the topic of today is also team, and I think you really need to create great teams, and these teams have to get aligned with the strategy of your organization. I think that is the most difficult thing to do, because the aspirations, every individual has got their own aspirations, and they have to be aligned with the aspirations of the organization. And the last, what I value the most is, I think, treat other people's money with respect. Vendors, anybody, treat them with a lot of respect. And also be always in a positive frame of mind, because there are so many negative factors with this news and other stuff floating around. There are things, which are many things are there to pull you down. And you really have to, a good entrepreneur will stay in a positive state of mind always, irrespective whether GDP is falling by 2% or 3% or 5%, doesn't matter. I think you have to stay in that positive frame of mind all the time. So I would just say, and failures is a part, like everybody says, and but failures actually is one step away from success. So I think never get disheartened by failures. So I think these are few things for any business, not only logistics. I think these are, or for anybody, any students also. I think if these principles are followed, I think if your value system is created around these principles, which are there, I think you can't go wrong.
Thanks a lot. I think also the fact comes that the ability of the professional who is in a very cozy job, doing very well, but the risk-taking ability has to be there in it. It's a big gamble. You have a family to support, you have responsibilities. So it's a big step to take a risk, and a risk-taking ability should be there among that person. That's what I feel, at least.
A good tip for that would be keep your expenses low. Then your risk appetite goes up. Because then if your expenses are high, then you're always worried about funding those expenses, and that's what a cushy job stops you from taking that job.
Absolutely.
And separate the fact from hype.
Yeah,
I think that is important. With so much of choice overload, news overload today, you have to separate the fact from hype. I think that is important.
Super. Thank you, Vivek and Nityam, for a fantastic session. Very key takeaways from it. We also have a record participation this time, the highest ever, 132 participants. So Team Global continues to set records even in Amtoi Dialogues.
Thank you
very much once again. At least our Q&A session ends, we open it up to the other participants. It's an open forum before we give the closing remarks. So the floor is thrown open. Anyone can please speak and go ahead. Shantanu, would you like to take the first question?
I will ask questions, because before opening forum, I think at the outset, thanks Vivek, thanks Nityam. Thanks for sharing your story, sharing your thoughts, sharing your ideas. I think what Nityam said at last was very important, and I should have heard it much earlier in life, that if you are an entrepreneur, you need to be positive whether GDP is falling or it is growing. I think it's a very strong message. Another area where actually what I've seen, when a family has twins, the twins themselves and family, very immediate family, find that they are very different. But for outsiders, they look same. Their behavior is same. I think for us, you two are like twins, and I find you exactly same. But repeatedly, I have heard from you several times that two of you are different personalities. So that would be interesting. But what I've seen commonality in all of you is, both of you, you are very aggressive. Every time I interact with you, I see you have eye for a business, and even a small LCL consignment in Chennai. I know Vivek keeps a track of it, and he knows the shipper and who handles. So he has that eye for detail and track. And I'm talking much before he started team, I had seen this quality in him. In fact, one of the common quality I've seen is you are hungry, and what you have achieved in 10 years, normally it takes 2 or 3 generations for others. So your growth rate is quite amazing. You are lightweight, as you said, when we spoke, both of them said they are lightweight. Yes, they are lightweight, but only in the right sense. They are fitness fanatics, and they have controlled their body weight, and it's same for last 25 years. So that's where, other than that, you are no lightweight anywhere. equally, I have seen that people who are soft spoken are the most aggressive ones. So you speak softly. So a lot of qualities you bring on the table of fast growth. I have two specific questions. Both of you can answer or whichever way. One is you spoke about complementarity quite often, and it doesn't have to be amongst partner. It can be between CEO and COO and husband and wife and everywhere. So if you can say where each of you complements each other, like when I had called Vivek for taking a marketing session in my company, he said, no, speak to Nityam. He does that. It's his marketing. So please explain this complementarity and how it has created synergy. And then I will come to next question.
Vivek, you want to take it first?
Yeah, so I think complementary, it was discovery mode when we were working as professionals. We had, our role, although in a senior management, was largely for business development and network development, business development. And at that time, we used to have totally separate set of customers. We used to have totally set of different geographies when it came to network that we were. So I could get along with people of a particular global geography. Nityam could get along with people of a particular geography. In terms of customers also, we had a totally different set of customers, and both of us were successful in terms of business generation there. So at that time we realized, yes, you did not have the same approach to doing things, and you can still get success. So different personalities, different approaches can get you some same results. So when we started our journey as an entrepreneur, this discovery we just carried on further, and then over a period of time we realized that our strengths in terms of finance, in terms of IT systems, in terms of HR, in terms of business development, network development, and then we found a space for each other. It was a bit of an iteration, and I think it was very minor, small period of understanding or discovery mode. And then we said, okay, and we didn't have really tell each other. We just assumed those responsibilities, and we started working together. So in our areas of strength. So as simple as that. So Khosla, you want
any specific areas you will say who is better at what?
I think it's Vivek is good with IT, and Vivek is also good with admin. You have seen Vivek admin skills in Amtoi also, which is there. So I think Vivek is exceptionally good, because I don't have the patience, to be honest. I'm a man in rush always, So I think I may not have that patience. So I think those are the skill sets which are very unique, and I would honestly admit Vivek is much better than me in these skill sets. So I'm nowhere,
I think when it comes to finance and the right approach to business development, I think that's where Nityam scores in. So I think he does better there.
But the fact is, we easily replace each other also. So I think that is little contradictory to what we say. But when one is away, the other guy replaces the other guy very well. So I think that has also been, and not today, even when we were working together, when we were not in our own business, I guess we did that, and with a lot of ease. So I think that was something which has carried on and continued to happen now as well.
We have one question from the panel. Shantanu, you have any other questions?
Yeah, I have one big question.
Okay, please go ahead.
Interesting sharing, and I'm glad that we have a record attendance. My next question is really to do with industry and Team Global, not about two individuals. What is the next big thing you see in logistics industry for Team Global? And you touched on this topic but didn't move ahead. Like you said we are bottom line driven, and that's the finance or business model we draw. What is your view about the emerging model? What is so-called valuation? It is not the valuation as you studied in Harvard. It has a different connotation than this valuation. So what are your thoughts about this before I think justice will open for everyone totally?
I think the way the industry is moving now. First, let me talk about Team Global. I think Vivek will add to that. I think what we have done consciously over the years is, we have tried to create ourselves or establish ourselves as a diversified logistics service provider. I think we have tried to create different dots, which are there. Let it be LCL consolidation, let it be air freight, let it full container load, let it be a CFS. So it's a combination of an asset light and an asset heavy model. Now the industry gradually, what we feel we see, is moving towards integrated logistics service provider would be the demand which would come, and the Gen X, what is going to be your customers tomorrow. I think millennials are getting old now, so Gen X is going to be your customers, which would be after 10 years. They would not have that patience level, and they would not have that time, or they would be that good with technology. They would like to deal with one integrated service provider. So I think it's a matter of connecting the dots at the appropriate time. So consciously, at least create your dots and keep and connect it when the market is right. So you cannot be before time in the market, you cannot be late in the market. So that means you have to have your dual strategy. One is to exploit the current, and second is to explore the growth. So I think though it has to be ambidextrous in nature, and your strategy has to be dual. So I think that is what I look at the company. Industry also very fast changing. I think we are on the second half of the chessboard. I say cycles have become very short. They were, where 10 years became 5 years, 5 years became 3 years, then 18 months. I think 18 months is also looking a little longer today. So, the way the cycle is changing and the way the trends are changing. So I think you have to be swift, nimble. I think that is something which is important in this kind of an environment. But logistics has got a good future, sir, because all this while the characteristics of this industry is, firstly, it is fragmented, and secondly, it is unorganized. And I think more and more for good operators, for companies which are, which have a strong value system and good processes in place, I think it's a very bright future. And India also moving towards 5 trillion economy by 25, and further on, exports going towards 500 billion, which is there. So I think it's only a positive story for Indian logistics, I would say.
Yeah, so I think Nityam, you covered it all. I would just say that the industry is being driven by the large carriers now in terms of how to deal with the customers in terms of business acquisition and business transactions, and there's extensive use of technology in both these aspects of business acquisition as well as transaction, and they are setting the rules of the game. And I think being a plow, creation of the dots and putting the dots together, and also being yourself nimble enough to plug into this technology, what do you say, plugs which are available. So you plug yourself with your customers, you plug into the carriers. So creating this integrations and building a strong technology platform will only help you to grow and scale up as a logistics player, is what I wanted to add.
Fantastic. Can I now, Shantanu, just open up the forum, because there are a slew of questions.
We have a big participation, so a lot of people must be eager.
Yeah. So we'll just take, one of you can take the questions one turn by turn, I would suggest, because of paucity of time. So, I mean, Vivek, you can take this one. This question is from Parth. Starting years are most difficult. Your suggestion and message to young entrepreneurs. So what would it be, very quickly, in a nutshell?
So as I mentioned, I'll still maintain the same. If you are convinced, it's all about conviction. And if you have the right idea, just pursue the idea. And there is enough money available in the market backing good ideas. So as long as you believe in yourself and you're consistent in your approach in what you do, success you will surely discover success in your journey.
Thank you. So next one, a very pertinent question from our friend Shrikant Nibande. Hi, Nityam and Vivek. It's an amazing journey for both of you, and have built a strong brand in consolidation and freight forwarding and CFS activities too. I have observed in many of our meetings that you always have ground reports on all happenings, as well as competition, domestic, international. So how do you do this all the time? So I've also said your intelligence network is excellent. So which one of you would like to take this question?
I think I'll just add, I have only one line I can, say this, and then Nityam can take over. I think being a good listener, helps you to, gain more intelligence, because if you talk too much, then, others cannot, people will not speak. And if people will not speak, then you will not know what is happening. So I think being a good listener helps, and also keeping in touch with people. So networking and keeping in touch with people, being a good listener helps in building intelligence, market intelligence. NK.
And I think more importantly, having good friends and colleagues like Srikanth, of course, which are there in the industry, they have worked together also in the past. Also, I think that keeps us, well informed.
So next question is for you, Vivek, from Khadak Singh. You said about culture. How do you ensure that culture you want is inculcated down the line in your day-to-day organization? And how would you define Team Global's culture?
So I think, we did cover it, being consistent, being humble, and leading by example. I think if you give respect to people, then you get respect back. If you're humble to people, then your organizational culture, is humble. If you are very serious about taking the customer's call in the first ring, if you are very serious about replying to your emails, these are small things in the shortest possible time and the first opportunity when you are online. People see you, people observe you, and that helps you to set the culture. So I think leading by example would be one line answer to that, setting up the culture.
Just to add, Jaxis, I think you are what you repeatedly do. I think that is something which is, and you normally, your subconscious mind is more stronger than the conscious mind. It's 100 times more powerful. I think what you repeatedly do gets into your habits, and habits form your culture. And I think that is something you can continue to do good things, you will get, and continuously when you do good things, you get success.
True.
I think that is important.
Thank you. So we are just in time. We have to close the session now. Thank you very much, Vivek and Nityam. I think it's been a really good educative session. I think many people will view it on our YouTube video as well later on and rewatch it to get these pearls of wisdom. So I would request our IPP to give the concluding remarks. And before that, I would like to wish him a happy 61st birthday on behalf of Amtoi and
Happy
everyone.
birthday. Happy birthday.
Birthday.
Thanks.
Thank you for everything, for being with us and being our guiding light. Over to you, Shantanu, for the concluding remarks, please.
Thanks. I think it was a big birthday gift from Nityam and Vivek. I think the best gift you can give is words of wisdom, knowledge. So thanks. It was a big gift. And thanks for another gift is we had record participation. So both of you have so many followers, as you can see. So it was a great session. I think thanks all the participants above all, because that is what encourages the speakers, the panelists, and the organizers the most is. And the outstanding part is we have all the participants till the end. And thank you all for that. With that, Justice, you can open everyone for one-on-one interaction.
Yes. So
And
we
close
end
the
formal
session officially.
now. Thank you very much for attending the event, the formal event. Delzad, you can open up in case there is any.
We can formally close it and close record.